Welcome to Let's Talk Ed with Professor Chris. Once again, I'm still your host and the author of Getting the Most Out of Your College Experience. All right, so what is our topic for today? Last episode, I did an AI, and I actually had wanted to take a little break out of AI, but I couldn't resist. And the reason is because discussions that I'm hearing now is talking about AI in teachers out. Basically, what does that look like? What is it going to look like? Personally, I can't even visualize it, but of course, I started thinking about, I'm like, let me just give it a thought. Let me just look at really, what it would look like, maybe with my eyes closed and just go through the motions. What would our college system look like if AI replaced our teachers? And of course, some of the ideas I was having was like, what are the students going to be doing with reference letters? What is the motivation going to come from? What is all the one-on-ones we have? What's the trust that we gain from our students and our students gain from us, right? So I'm looking at all the human connections and I started thinking about that. So for that reason, I have to do this. I have to do this topic on AI and teachers out, all right? So just give me a moment to do this. I promise we'll take a break from AI. However, we cannot stop talking about AI. It's going to keep coming up. But hopefully, the idea will be that we take a break from AI a little bit to deal with topics, issues that are currently happening within our college system, all right? But let's do this one here, and then we'll take a little break from AI. So the title for today's podcast is going to be Beyond the Algorithm. Beyond the Algorithm, okay? And yes, beyond AI, the human power of college teaching. It's kind of a nice title, Beyond the Algorithm, the human power of college teaching. Okay. So let me put in my disclaimer once again. I have nothing against AI, but, and also a reminder, as I did in the last episode, AI is a tool, and AI will tell you it's a tool. So let's not, personally, let's not even entertain the idea of AI taking, it will break my heart. If AI actually at some point completely takes over, I really can't see it, but I also think there's a dimension to this whole equation that we cannot ignore, right? So with that, let's start with the human connection. I have shared stories and stories and stories as to the relationship that I have with my students. I really can't see it any other way. The emotional intelligence and empathy that instructors, teachers have when it comes to our students. The mentorship, right? Recognizing nonverbal clues, and this is what I mean by that. In the classroom, as I trust it applies to most instructors and most teachers, it is hard enough for students in a classroom, or let's say 50 students, sometimes even 20 students, when they are so uncomfortable to even speak up to ask a question in class. So what do your instructors do? Use verbal clues. I personally look around when I ask a question, and usually I could tell when students have a question but probably don't have the courage to ask those questions. Again, I've shared this over and over again as to kind of the initiative our instructors have to take to make sure that nobody is left out. So the human connection is key to teaching, and once again, I don't see how AI at the very moment is taking over, let's say, sending maybe a robot to the classroom to kind of do what we're doing, all right? So that's one of my biggest one, is definitely losing the human connection that we are probably going to lose if we are thinking about AI taking over. Now, the other part is contextual wisdom and experience. And that's what I mean by that. When I started teaching, I think one of my key advantages when I first got into the classroom was immediate connection I made with my students just because of my practical experience. As a bridge engineer working in the field for quite some time, bringing all those connections into the classroom was key, and my students immediately related to what I was talking about. They knew I was out in the field, I was out in the trenches, I understood exactly what life is outside the classroom, but most importantly, how to apply the theory in class to practical application. And for that reason also, by the way, I went through the syllabus and looked at how to actually pull out the main key components, topics within the textbook that actually related to the real world for practical application. Now, understanding complex ethical or cultural issues. And I'm sure maybe AI is still trying to figure this out. But that experience, right, is a key component of what we do. And again, once I don't see it, I don't see AI taking over or kicking our teachers out and AI coming in and out for the two reasons that I've given. The big one that everyone is talking about currently is critical thinking and intellectual challenge. Critical thinking and intellectual challenge. When it comes to critical thinking, and I think one of the reasons it's a big concern is that even before AI, what was happening in our classrooms? We were pushing students, do assignments, do your homework, do all the reading, and instructors were pushing students to think outside, we say outside the box. Really, what we're trying to do is to think outside what you're reading. What is your critical thinking process? Now, with AI, most of us are doing very, very limited thinking. And to me, that is actually one of the scariest part about this whole AI situation that we keep discussing. Because now AI is probably telling you how to think. In one of my very, very first episodes that I did about AI, I kind of stressed the fact that you want to own yourself, right? You want to speak in your own language. You want to speak in your own voice. And I think that is probably what is missing right now. And unfortunately, the more we give ourselves to AI, the more we lose that component. And also, the lesser we start thinking critically. If you haven't tried AI or anything AI yet, see how AI composes. It's amazing. It's amazing. And yes, probably AI is going to compose beautifully than what you will probably compose yourself, right? And that is the biggest fear, because what now you want to do is to either be like the AI, sound like the AI, and of course, that can also lead into a whole lot of plagiarism. The good thing that I also just learned probably a couple of weeks ago is actually now, since we can't do away with AI, we're teaching students how to actually cite AI, which I think is good because plagiarism is still in full effect and we have to do our best. So anyway, I just kind of wanted to go through this very quickly. So critical thinking and intellectual challenge is a key component, or one of the reasons I don't think AI will be replacing our teachers in the classroom anytime soon. Then, of course, there's the academic and career mentorship, right? So academic and career mentorship mainly boils down to, the biggest one, by the way, is probably letter of recommendation. I have said, so far as humans are still in position, are still in place to hire new employees or hire new students or hire graduates, all in a nutshell are in position to dictate who comes in and out of that environment or the working environment, you're still going to be asked for letter of recommendations. No one is currently asking the AI to provide letter of recommendations. AGI, by the way, is coming, which is the next level of AI where it actually learns human, right, or studies human capabilities. And will be able to do that. But that means that generative algorithm needs to understand you in order to do that. Okay, maybe it is coming, but we're not there yet. But once again, since humans are in a position to detect who comes in and out, we are still going to be requesting a letter of recommendation, letter of reference letters from our instructors, right? Which is a key component of what we do. So caution is another advantage for why AI cannot necessarily take away instructors. The mentorship is also another big component that we need to keep in mind, is how AI is incapable of probably mentoring you right now. It's a tool, and we need to remember that. Okay, so very quick few points that I've given here. I don't want to stress this over, and I just want to kind of point out a few reasons why I personally don't think AI will be taking over from our teachers very soon, and also for our teachers a little motivation. We're doing our best. I remember when this whole AI discussion started, it was no AI, until we found out that actually it's not a bad thing. We have to work with AI. We can't work against AI, right? So now it's very, very good that almost everywhere you turn so far as academic goes, every institution is now thinking about different policies to make sure AI is embraced in the best and possible way that we can. All right. So in my closing, very quickly, is that I can see it. I just love the human connection that I have with my students. I just love the interaction that I have with my students, and I'm sure the students do the same thing. We're talking about mental health. We're talking about everything that you could think of, which comes from the teachers having this personal connection with their students and not necessarily AI. All right. So I just close with that. Let's calm down a little. Let's take advantage of our human connections that we currently have, and I hope that continues for a very, very long time, right? Even with the AI takeover, I think we're still going to have, and we have to have, that human connection. So with that, please, don't drink beer. I know tailgating is happening. There's still a lot of football games there. But my beer to you: balance, eat well, exercise, rest, and relax. All right? That spells beer, B-E-E-R. See you next time on Let's Talk Ed with Professor Chris. This is the book that I wished I had before going to college. And it's also the book I hope I had while I was in college. Get a copy of Getting the Most Out of Your College Experience now. You can get it online at Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, iTunes, and Google Play. If you want a signed copy, you can go to my website at www.letustalked.com. Get your copy and let's continue to talk ed. Thank you.